With Todd Nickerson back in the spotlight, I've noticed a level of hate in the air has risen. It begs the question, why? Especially given this violent response is a new thing. What is the root cause to the emotional reactions we're seeing? Well, I have a theory. Keep in mind I'm just hypothesizing. Now, the protection of the sexuality of one's daughters is easy enough to understand. There are great costs involved with a pregnancy. It is in the interest of the family of a young woman to vet any potential male partners. The younger the woman, the more eager the parents will be to make her sexual decisions for her. There is also the unfortunate reality of being a female exogenous species. The young women of any tribe or family were their most valuable resource. They can and must be traded with another tribe to avoid inbreeding. First of all, this wouldn't make the overprotection of young women's sexuality logically justified today. We can and must overcome our harmful instinctive drives if we can objectively assess them as harmful. My instincts tell me to eat the fattiest and most calorie-dense foods I can find, but I can overcome this. The commodity guardian explanation cannot stand on its own for at least two reasons. It doesn't explain the equal taboo with boys, and it doesn't explain the newness of the reaction. Most of the last 300 generations had no instinctive negative response to the sexuality of the young. So why have the last couple suddenly made it such an issue? What we need here is some pattern recognition. And I have indeed picked up on a particular pattern. Humans have a predisposition for judging others for their sexuality. Almost any other species would have an impossible time trying to understand our preoccupation with and subsequent disapproval of other people's sex lives. These nice folks are lesbians. Compared to gay men, they've largely been given a pass. They're just not seen as threatening by nature. I can't remember ever having a conversation with someone who disapproved of lesbianism. But then, that's probably just my bubble. It happens. Why, in this case, that of the Hawaii kissing arrest, someone was so offended as to make an arrest. Someone is going to have to comment filling me in on what it was that was going on in this cop's head. Anyway. Then there are gay men. Notice right away how you're feeling less comfortable than you were a moment ago. Exploring that comfort discrepancy isn't my purpose here today, but it doubtless corresponds to the increased oppression these individuals have faced in the past, or in many places, today. Social justice warriors throw the term oppression around a little much these days. However you personally define the word, though, its usage is certainly justified by imprisonment. Through the 19th and 20th centuries in particular, we've seen homosexual men hated and punished for no logical reason. Keep in mind it wasn't always this way. It comes and goes. This is kind of the beginning of the hair splitting. If someone tolerates L's and G's, there's a very low chance they're going to get uppity about B's. So continuing, here's a new one. Harmless, but feared. Not a threat to anyone. You're just uncomfortable. That's it. Grow up and chill out. How can you possibly care about their bathroom usage? If you do, you're paranoid, you're a moron, and you're hurting people. Chill out. I'm also going to go ahead and guess that those of you who are opposed to sharing the bathroom with a transgendered person probably don't know any of them yourself. Some nice folks like to suggest that transgendered persons have a mental disorder. Let me remind you that the social sciences are a lot more social than they are science. What is and isn't a mental disorder is a subjective thing that shifts with what's popular. To argue that X or Y is a mental disorder is to add nothing to the conversation. The only relevant analysis is the quantifiable harm done to others. In this case, none. Now we come to everyone's favorite, the most hated minority in the world. Don't think they're an oppressed minority? Well, they're clearly oppressed, and they're clearly a minority. They're not really making any sense. At all. I know. Think of the children. You can keep trying to hide behind that one. But you see, humanity, you have positively fuck all credibility. You've got an uphill battle if you're going to try to claim that this is the first minority sexual orientation that you disapprove of for logical reasons. We've heard all your BS rationalizations before. Face it, as a species, you just love to hate. And this has been your new favorite target for the last 25 years. I recently came across an interesting article that can help us out here. The author's main point is simple. You may think your grandparents are prudes for their reaction to what is common sexual behavior today, but there's plenty of stuff they thought was normal, but you can't stomach. These norms change over time. Cousin marriage was common in the 19th and most previous centuries. Today, you think it's gross. We spent most of the history of civilization living in one-room houses or apartments. Think children are traumatized by the idea of sex? In every previous century, parents had no choice but to have sex, not only while their kids were in the same room, but while their kids were in the same bed. Either all previous generations have been traumatized, or you're living in an artificial bubble today. Only recently has sex become something that children aren't supposed to know about. While we're on the subject, the whole idea of a sheltered childhood is a 20th century invention. Children in the past were not only engaging in, or at least witnessing sex, but they were also working in factories or on farms. Child labor laws were progress. No one likes to be forced to work. Child sex laws have been a different matter. This is another weird one that comes and goes. Some cultures and centuries had no problem with breasts. Unfortunately, we're not living in one of those times. I can see this one changing within the next generation, though. At least, I can picture it. Child pornography. And, to a larger extent, all pedophilia. And to a larger extent, all attraction to minors, including teenagers. And to a larger extent, all sexuality of any kind involving one or more party being underage. This is new, and it needs an explanation. I brought up Ben Franklin in a previous video. If you think possession of images of the underage is a crime, be prepared to hate more people than you can manage. For starters, all your recent male ancestors. If you think sex with the underage is wrong, then be prepared to hate virtually every ancestor you have ever had. Certainly every male ancestor more than a century back that didn't die a virgin. I know you love to hate, but that might still be a bit of an overload for you. Humans always love to judge others for their sexuality, but what we judge is culturally dependent and varies through time. Now, there exists a modern term for what's going on here, a circle jerk. A community congratulates itself ad nauseum for sharing an opinion. What we've seen for decades is an anti-pedophilia circle jerk. There have been almost no dissenting opinions, so we've had a self-congratulatory echo chamber full of lower limbic system responses. I'm going to borrow another term, this time from the racist community. To chimp out. I see no better way to describe the barbaric reactions we're about to see.
Let's go back to it.
Fantasies actually revolve around little girls who are in some way more powerful than I am. Eventually my attraction became, overwhelming to the point I had to go relieve myself in the bathroom.
Hey,
that's when
I want to relieve myself with this guy. And it ain't that way. I tell you, it's a good feeling when somebody comes after you. They almost get you down. You get them down. You got a broken fist. Still a very satisfying feeling. That's the kind of relief I want here.
I know we're having fun now, but just wait. He gets better.
Now, I'm sorry to have to talk like this, but you need to know who's coming for you and your family. And every instinct in me, I'll just be quite honest. I start focusing on the enemy, and I get extremely crazed, okay? So, it's just every instinct in me is just let me into a room with 100 of these people. I'm telling you. And I just don't know where the spirit and the will is to crush the enemy out there. What have they done to us to put us into a trance to put up with this garbage? What have they done to us? What? We're turning into a bunch of self-centered, walking dead trash, and we're such zombies, we're such self-centered crap that we don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. And my very spirit is just absolutely ready at every level to we're under attack, people. Where is the animating contest of liberty? Where is the spirit lifted up against these people? All right, I'm sorry. I focus in on the evil. It really freaks me out, and I don't get like that a lot, but I know the enemy spirit, and I start talking about it, and it just gets to me, because my spirit gets close to that evil, and I feel it, and my whole spirit just goes, They call that crazy. That's not crazy. That's my will, my human spirit saying, crush those that would hurt the innocent. Go after the enemy. Build a civilization. Be honorable. Crush the snakes under your feet. Get behind me, Satan.
Now, I want you to ask yourself if the opposition here is being more logical or more emotional. More to the point, what is the source of this opposition? What causes this kind of reaction? We need to know the root evolutionary cause.
Clearly stated their agenda, which is, we understand his sexuality. There you go. Oh, my God, it makes me want to vomit just to look at. He calls her precocious and independent, and we show this video of her dancing around like they're trying to convey how he would be horny for her. It's infuriating, and it really shows how far we've come. And it also shows, by the way, we started out on relatively reasonable grounds here. We started out with gays are not monsters, lesbians are not monsters. I agree.
Methinks Gavin wouldn't agree on homosexuals not being monsters if he hadn't been pushed by changing societal norms. You can't think he would have come that far on his own.
And then we started going into gay marriage, and we said, well, I don't know if Christians should have to be part of these ceremonies. And it just keeps, as the Phil Robertson from Duck Dynasty said, it keeps morphing out from there. And now we have to accept that this guy wants to prey on our daughters, but is resisting. We're supposed to give him a Purple Heart because he's resisted preying on toddlers?
So all of you should clearly know what this will represent, and you should know what this represents, all right?
I had to try to set my prejudice aside as soon as I heard this guy's accent. I mean, you knew it was going to be good, but here goes.
So this is a demonstration. This is what should happen to you, all right? Oh, see that? Cut in half. You see it again? Fucking cut in half again, all right? That's what should happen to you, all right? You don't deserve to have a penis.
All right, pedophilia, it's been around since forever. All right, pedophilia is a cancer that's been eating at humanity. It is suicidal in nature. It is absolutely grotesque. It's not acceptable.
What makes it unacceptable? It's not about protecting the children, because we started with the assumption that sex is evil, rather than bothering to gather evidence for that claim. I think the next group can help us understand a little. Herein lies a possible clue. Humans have always had a pattern of adultery. If you ask Robert Sapolsky, he'll tell you that humans are intermediate between being a pair bonding species and a tournament species. This causes some interesting things. Now, we're not alone. Just like any other species, we have a regular mating pattern. Anyone else who reads enough books should identify it as most similar to birds. We present the appearance of monogamy until you investigate. Both sexes have a common pattern of pursuing a secret side partner, thus a theory. What we are is a pseudo-monogamous, short-term pair bonding species. In simpler language, we are an adulterous species. We are therefore preoccupied with the sex lives of others. We are pre-programmed to be so. And unfortunately, this makes us a sexually judgmental species. Humans have a pattern of chimping out in response to the sexuality of others, thus losing all credibility on any claims of rationality. Humans always judge, but what they judge varies with culture and time. The opposition to pedophilia specifically is not pre-programmed. The subject of that judgment is therefore not objectively harmful to the species. It differs from incest, necrophilia, or bestiality. Those taboos are universal because they pose a real threat of disease or harmful mutation. The root cause of the pattern of judgment is being an adulterous species. Hopefully, with this perspective, you'll choose to get ahead of the zeitgeist on this one. Thank you.